Let's look at this word problem with two unknowns. So this example, the difference of two numbers is 13. The larger number is 3 less than 4 times the smaller number. Find the numbers. So when we solve a word problem, it has 4 steps. First step, we want to declare variables. So what's the unknown? The unknowns will be the variables. So what are the unknowns in this problem? So we look at the question. Find the numbers. Which numbers? Of course, it's the larger number and the smaller number. So we got two unknowns here. One is the larger number, and the other is the smaller number. And because we are only going to use one variable, but we have two unknowns, which means we have to pick one of these two unknowns and make it x, and describe the other one in terms of x. So which one should be our x? Now let's look at the sentence. Find a sentence that can tell us a relationship between the larger and the smaller. Well, in fact, both sentences tell us a relationship between the larger and the smaller. For example, the first sentence says the difference of the larger and the smaller is 13. And the second one says the larger number is something something of the smaller. So we can either use the first or second. The second sentence will be a little bit easier because the second sentence tells us what the smaller is. So, for example, the smaller is, tell us what the larger one is. So it says the larger number is 3 less than 4 times of something. So if we make the smaller x, this smaller number, we make it a letter x, and we will get the larger number means equal. 3 less than, it's minus 3. 3 less than minus 3 from what? From 4 times. So 4 times, this part right here will be 4 times the smaller, which is x. So this is what we're thinking here. When we have two variables, we're going to make, let's see, one is the larger number and the other is the smaller number. We're going to make x the smaller number, and we're going to use the second sentence to describe the larger number. What's the larger number? Because the second sentence tells us the larger number, what the larger number is, because it says very clearly the larger number is something. So I would use this to rewrite the larger number is 3 less than 4 times x. 4 times x, the phrase in the box, can be described as 4 times x. The smaller is x. And then we add 3 less than. 3 less than is minus 3. So we minus 3 from 4x. What is that? And that is the larger number. Okay, so if we read it, the larger is 4x minus 3. So I'm going to put 4x minus 3 in the place of the larger. And now, so that's the part we have a variable or a description in terms of the variable for both unknowns. We're ready to set up the equation. Now, the equation, you will have to use the other sentence. So there's another first sentence. The difference of two numbers is 13. We know difference means subtraction. And two numbers, which means the larger and the smaller. But it could be the larger minus the smaller or the smaller minus the larger. Well, notice that a difference, after we subtract them, we get 13. That's a positive number. And you have to subtract the smaller from the larger. That will give us the difference. So in order to set up the equation, we use the first sentence that tells us the larger number minus the smaller number is 13. And all we have to do is to replace the larger and the smaller, these two words, with their expressions and break expressions, the variables. So let's start with, let me copy down that sentence here so you can see how you set up the equation. So from the first sentence, we know the larger number minus the smaller number is equal to 13. And the larger number is 4x minus 3. The smaller number is x from here, and we got from step 1, equals 13. So that's the equation we set up. And after we set up the equation, we solve the equation. So we first combine, get rid of parentheses, because the number in front of 4x minus 3 would just be considered as 1. And so let me copy the equation one more time. Here we distribute 1 to 4x, and distribute 1 to 3. That will still give us 4x minus 3 minus x equals 13. Now because we have two x terms, we're going to combine these two like terms. That's 3x minus 3 equals 13. And next we try to get the letter x by itself. And in order to do that, we have to get rid of -3 by adding. Let's copy the problem one more time here. And we're going to add 3 till we do opposite operations and to cancel that -3 to get 16. And now we can divide both sides by 3. X equals 16 over 3. So the answer actually is a fraction. And now we're going to go back, because we're supposed to find both the larger number and the smaller number. We're going to go back to step 1. We write down what x is, 16 over 3, and then we write down what the larger number is. All we have to do is to plug in 16 over 3 in here for x in order to find out the larger number. So I'm going to write this down right here. So we do 4x minus, let me put it over here maybe, right here. So 4x minus 3 equals 4 times x, replace it with 16 over 3 because that's what x is, and minus 3. So we have to first do multiplication to get multiply straight across the top. We will get 64 over 3 minus the second 3, we'll put it as 3 over 1 and equal denominator times both the top and bottom by 3, and that will give us 64 over 3 minus 9 over 3, which is 55 over 3. So let's put the answer right here, 55 over 3. And the last step, we're going to check the answers. And first of all, when we subtract these two, see if we can get difference is 13. So because the first sentence says the difference of these two numbers, the larger and the smaller, and should be 13. So if I take 55 over 3, 55 thirds minus 16 thirds, and just keep the same denominator, subtract numerators, we have 55 minus 16, which gives us 39, and 39 over 3, that's exactly 13. And then we check the second sentence. The larger, so that's 55 thirds, is 3 less than 4 times the smaller, and we can verify that. So we take 4 times the smaller, and 4 times 16 thirds, and minus 3, and which is what we just did right here. That's exactly 55 thirds. So, if the answers are not fractions, of course the calculation will be much easier. But even if they're fractions, we can still use the same way to find the